Good morning, everyone. I am Teacher Ferdy, your science teacher for today. Now, may I request everyone to please stand for our opening prayer. So let's bow our head and feel the presence of God. As we say, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So now, you may take your seats. So now I'm going to check your attendance, and please say present if your name is called. Okay? Alcantara Laida, Amuyot Gerald, Zamora Cherame. So very good, everyone is present. So I've noticed some of you are sleepy and some of you look so tired. So may I request everyone to please stand to energize ourselves. So the energizer entitled Clap or Loud Clap. So what we're going to do, we need to touch our lap 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again, clap your lap 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, mwah. So let's do this. Let's do this in slow motion. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mwah. So let's do this in fast motion. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Mwah. Again, in a faster motion. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mwah. Very good. Thank you for your cooperation, class. So you may now take your seats. So I think every one of you was energized. Now let's proceed to our proper discussion. So at the end of this lesson, you are expected to differentiate the epicenter of an earthquake from its focus and intensity of an earthquake from its magnitude. And then you will locate and illustrate the epicenter and magnitude of an earthquake. And then value the importance of knowing epicenter, magnitude, intensity of an earthquake. So for our review of previous lesson, what was our previous lesson all about? Yes, well, very good. It's typhoon. So what is typhoon? Yes, Earl? Very good. Typhoon is a giant rotating storm that brings rain, wind, and destruction. So how does typhoon form? Yes, Lida? Very good. So you have said it very well, class. So let's give yourselves a round of applause. Yay! Now, are you ready now for our new discussion? Okay, that's good to know. So let's proceed now to our new discussion. And today, I'm going to show to you some picture on the board, and then you will guess what does the picture portrays. So are you ready now? So the first picture shows. So what does the picture shows? Yes, Ruel? It's earthquake. Very good. So who can guess our new topic for today? Yes, Laila? Yes, our new topic for today is all about earthquake. So let's give ourselves a round of applause.
Okay, so our lesson for today is all about earthquake. the parts of an earthquake. Class, earthquake has its 5 parts. First is the fault, second is the focus, third is the epicenter, third is the seismic waves, and the last one is the plate tectonic. So for you to be able to understand more about what really earthquake is, I'm going to define each of them, and please bear with me as we go through our discussion. So number 1 is fault. When we say fault, it is the weak point in the plate tectonic wherein the pressure inside the crust is released. And number 2 is the focus. Focus, it is the area inside the earth that is, or where the earthquake starts. Take note that focus is also called the focal point and hypocenter. Focus, it is also centered to the portion of the faults which has the greatest movement. So now let's proceed to the number 3. It is the epicenter. Epicenter is the point in the surface of the earth above or directly above from the focus. I will be going to discuss later the location of the 5 parts of the earthquake. And in the epicenter during an earthquake, the strongest movement or the strongest shaking of an earthquake occurred in the epicenter. And let's proceed to the number 4. Seismic waves, these are the waves that transmit energy released by an earthquake. And the last one is the plate tectonics. These are the massive rocks that make up the outer layer of the Earth's surface. So now I have here a table that shows the location of the 5 parts of the earthquake. So first, as you can see the circle around the inside the earth, as you can see the circle, small circle there, it is what we call the focus. And above of it, as you can see the line there above of it that can represent the earth's surface rather, this is what we call the epicenter. And as you can see, the cracks there is what we call the faults. And also the waves that is circled around the focus is what we call the seismic waves. And big note that seismic waves are measured through the use of instrument that is called seismograph. And the seismic waves, these are the magnitude of an earthquake, and these are it shows or it was being measured to show how strong the magnitude of an earthquake. And the plate tectonic can be found at the surface of the earth. As what I have said or what I have mentioned earlier, that plate tectonics, these are the massive rocks that made up the outer layer of the earth's surface, and whose movements along with the faults triggers the earthquakes. So now, have you understand? Okay.
So now, let's proceed to the magnitude of an earthquake. So who among you here knows or have an idea about what is magnitude of an earthquake? Yes, Sir Palavica. Okay, thank you. So magnitude of an earthquake is the measure of the size of the seismic wave that is generated by an earthquake source and recorded by seismographs. So another question is that who among you here knows or have an idea about what is a seismograph? Yes, Mr. Lisandra. Yes, thank you. That's correct. So, Mr. Lisandra is correct. Magnitude of an earthquake is being measured by the use of seismograph. And seismograph uses seismic waves in order to determine the magnitude of an earthquake. So, table 1. Magnitude scale of an earthquake. Magnitude less than 2.0. It is considered to be micro. Its effect is generally not felt. Magnitude 2.0 to 2.9 is considered to be minor. It is generally not felt but being recorded. So who among you here can elaborate that statement? Yes, Mr. Lesandra? Oh, thank you. It means that we cannot feel the effects of the earthquake because it is very slow and it is being recorded by the tool seismograph. So, magnitude 3.0 to 3.9. It is considered to be minor. It is often felt but can cause rarely damage. So let's proceed to the magnitude 4.0 to 4.9. Its description is light. Its effects is that noticeable shaking of indoor things. So indoor things includes corridors, cabinets, mineral waters, and etc. So magnitude 5.0 to 5.9 is considered to be moderate. It could cause serious harm, slight damage to buildings. Magnitude 6.0 to 6.9 is very dangerous. We must be always alert and we must know the basic safety precautions such as, yes, it's correct, British duck, cover, and hold. So thank you. So magnitude 7.0 to 7.9 is considered to be major. It could cause major damage over a larger area. So now let's proceed to magnitude 9.0 to 9.9. It is considered to be great. It could totally destroy communities, buildings, roads, and could cause landslide. So it is very destructive na, no? Ang magnitude 9 is very destructive at we must be always prepared and knows the basic precautions, the three that I mentioned earlier. So the last magnitude is 10 and above magnitude. 10 and above magnitude is considered to be epic and very, very dangerous. It would likely cause ground motions for up to an hour. Imagine, up to an hour shakings or earthquake. So it is very, very dangerous and destructible. Now, let's proceed to the intensity of an earthquake. So intensity of an earthquake is the number describing the severity of an earthquake in terms of its effects of the Earth's surface and on humans and their structure. So intensity is measured from effects on people, human structure, and natural environment.
Alright, so now we will be going to discuss the table 2, the intensity scale of an earthquake. Jana, please read the intensity scale number 1. Okay, thank you, Jana. So in intensity scale number 1 of an earthquake, its shaking is scarcely perceptible. Perceptible to individual under favorable circumstances, and the delicately balanced objects are slightly disturbed, and the waters in the containers are oscillate slowly. So, do you understand? Okay, let's proceed to the intensity scale number 2. Please read Ruel. Thank you. So, in intensity scale number 2, its shaking is likely felt by few individuals at rest indoors, and the hanging objects swing slightly, and still waters in containers oscillate noticeably. So let's proceed to intensity scale number 3. Intensity scale number 3, please read Earl. Thank you, Earl. So in intensity scale number 3, its shaking is weak, and it is felt by some people indoors, especially in the in the upper area or the upper parts of the buildings, and its vibration is felt like a passing of a light truck, and some of people may experience dizziness and nausea. So in intensity scale number 4, please read the boy at the back. Yes? Okay. Please read the intensity scale number 4. Thank you. So the intensity scale number 4, its shaking is moderately strong. It is felt by most people indoors and some people outdoors. Light sleepers are awakened, and its vibration is felt like a heavy or like a passing of heavy truck, and hanging objects are swing considerably. Last, to the intensity scale scale number 5 who will be volunteering to read. Who will volunteer to read? Yes? Please read the intensity scale number 5. Okay, thank you for reading it. And the intensity scale number 5, its shaking is strong. So it's in intensity scale number 5. Generally, most people indoors and outdoors feel the shaking, and many people that are sleeping are awakened. Some people are frightened. Some people run outdoors, and strong shaking and rocking is felt throughout the buildings.
So now, let's proceed to intensity number 6. So, intensity number 6 is considered to be very destructive. Its shaking is labeled as very strong. The effects of this intensity is that people are afraid and panicking. Some lost their balance, and motorists fail to drive with flat tires. So now, let's proceed to intensity scale number 7. Its shaking is considered to be very strong. Its effects are people are afraid and panicking. Some lost their balance, and motorists fail to drive with flat tires. Intensity scale number 7. Okay, everyone? Anyone who can read intensity scale number 7? Miss Electrona. Okay, thank you. Intensity scale number 7. Its shaking is labeled as destructive. Many people experience difficult to stand still in upper floors. Church bells are ringing because of the shaking. So, let's proceed to intensity scale number 8. Its shaking is very destructive. Concrete dikes and roads are destroyed, and buildings are damaged. So, intensity scale number 9. Its shaking is very devastating. People are forcibly thrown to the ground, and buildings are totally damaged, and monuments are broken. So, the last intensity scale is number 10. The shaking of intensity scale number 10 is completely devastating. So, the effect of this intensity is that man-made structures are destroyed, and intensity scale number 10 can cause landslide and uplifting of landforms. Do you now understand the magnitude scale and intensity scale of an earthquake? Okay, that's great.
Since we are done with our discussion this morning, what we're going to do is I will be dividing the class into two. The first row will be the group 1, and the other row has to be the group 2. So what we're going to do is I have here a strip of paper which contains your activity for this afternoon. For the activity of the group 1, or the topic of the group 1, you have to locate and explain the parts of an earthquake. And the group 2 has to differentiate the magnitude and intensity of an earthquake. Again, the group 1 should locate and explain the parts of an earthquake, while the group 2 has to differentiate the magnitude and intensity of an earthquake. Your presentation will be graded according to the following criteria: content 50%, creativity 40%, unity 10%, with a total score of 100%. This activity will take 30 minutes for you to prepare, or I will be giving you 30 minutes for this activity before you're going to present it in front of the class. So, you can meet with your groups now. Okay, class time is up. You have to present your activities in front of the class now. So what a wonderful presentation from the two groups. Give yourself a round of applause. I assume that you have fully absorbed our lessons for this afternoon, so I am going to ask someone from the class. Is there anyone from the class who can share their learnings with regards to our lesson? Is there any? Yes, Nida? Very good. That's a wonderful observation about our lesson. So I guess let us proceed to our assessment. This assessment will help you These assessments will assess you whether you have learned or you are fully grasped our lessons for today. So I have prepared questions here for you to answer. At this juncture of our discussion, I am going to assess you whether you have learned something about our lesson for today. So I have prepared here 8 questions. So what you're going to do is you are going to have a 1/2 sheet of pad paper lengthwise, and I answer the question that I will be asking to you. For the direction, fill in the blanks with the correct terms to complete the statement. Write your answer on a separate sheet of paper. So I will be dictating the question. What you're going to do is to write the answers on your paper. For the question number 1, blank is the sudden movement of Earth's crust at a fault line. Again, blank is a sudden movement of Earth's crust at a fault line. Number 2, blank is the point where an earthquake begins. Blank is a point where an earthquake begins. For the third question, an earthquake's most intense shaking is often felt near the blank. An earthquake's most intense shaking is often felt near the blank. For our fourth question, when the stresses get too large, it results to cracks called blank. Again, when the stresses get too large, it results to cracks called blank. For our number 5 question, blank measures the energy being released from the origin of the earthquake. Blank measures the energy being released from the origin of the earthquake. Number 6, blank is determined by the strength of the trembling made by the earthquake at a place. Blank determines the strength of the trembling made by the earthquake at a place. And for our last question, blank scales measures the quantity of seismic energy released by an earthquake. Blank scale measures the quantity of seismic energy released by an earthquake. So that was our 7 questions, sorry. And for our last question, the intensity of an earthquake is determined by a blank scale. The intensity of an earthquake is determined by a blank scale. So ball pens up, and we're done. So I am going to, you have to exchange your papers with your seatmates. Let's check your answers, whether you have got the correct answer or wala mo naminaw sa class. So for the answer number 1, blank is the sudden movement of the Earth's crust at a fault line. The answer is earthquake. Earthquake is the sudden movement of Earth's crust at a fault line. For number 2, the answer for number 2 is focus. Focus is the point where an earthquake begins. Focus is a point where an earthquake begins. For number 3, an earthquake's most intense shaking is often felt near the blank. The answer there is epicenter. An earthquake's most intense shaking is often felt near the epicenter. For our number 4, the answer is fault. When the stresses get too large, it results to crack called fault. For our number 5 question, the answer is magnitude. Who got it right? Very good. Magnitude measures the energy being released from the origin of an earthquake. For number 6, the answer is intensity. Intensity is determined by the strength of the trembling made by the earthquake at a place. So the answer there is intensity. For number 7, the answer is Richter. Richter scales measures the quantity of seismic energy released by an earthquake. Richter scale measures the quantity of seismic energy released by an earthquake. For our last question, the answer there is Mercalli. The intensity of an earthquake is determined by a Mercalli scale. So, who got the correct answers? Oh, almost everyone got perfect with our exam. For those who got 6 to 8 scores, please submit your paper here in front. And for those who got lower than 6 scores, please have your paper signed by your parents and give it to me tomorrow. And for our assignment, I will be writing your assignment here in the board and submit it tomorrow also. So that's it for our discussion today. I hope everyone have fully understood our discussion. Keep safe and God bless.